Welcome back to the stream, everybody. We're going to be continuing where we left off yesterday. And go hit some more of these and check some more of our mission table and just go from there, really. I don't know how the flow of this game works compared to the flow of the other game. Sorry, my light is like very much in my face today. I want to... Sorry. Thought it was pretty good, but it was just super bright. So I don't know how the flow of this game works. We're going to try and do what we need to with the flow of the game. I want to try and just get as many missions done as I can and just go from there. Gobbet's face winks onto the screen. Her rats are perched precariously on her head. She holds a laser pointer clutched between her thumb and her forefinger. Oh, hey, Seattle. I hope that I didn't catch you at a bad time. She flicks the laser pointer, and her rat's head swiveled to the right to follow the motion. Why did I just say that? This is a recording. It doesn't matter if it's a bad time. Well, anyway, I was thinking about the talk that we had. You know, the dream talk, and the nightmares and stuff. Another flick of the pointer. The rat's head turned left, their nose twitching. Got a friend here in town. She runs the Parlor of Five Faces. It's a local magic stop and talisman monger named Crafty. Flick, the rat's head turned upward to stare at the ceiling. Anyway, she's smart, really smart. Her mom was sort of a local authority on all things magical. And the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. If you wanted to ask anyone in town about these dreams, she'd be the right one to choose. She taps the button on her laser pointer with her thumb, and the little red dot in the tip goes dark. The rats immediately tackle one another, rolling off her head and falling out of sight. She gets up, her head rising out of the frame. Anyways, just thought it might help. If you've already been talking to Crafty, please disregard this message. Alright, I'm out. Peace. From Chang. Pal, I need you to come to the parlor. A friend and business partner of mine, Dr. Shenyang, has need of your services. Something about attending a fancy party in the Repulse Bay. He was unwilling to give me the details. I think he wanted to size you up himself. Ugh. Opportunity. Yo, come see me if you have a chance. I have a trade opportunity. Maxim. Raymond's Black History from Isabel. Duncan asked me to do some digging on my own into Raymond's history. I guess he doesn't trust Ken Chang to give him the full story. Can't say I blame him, since she'd hide things from us if it was in her best interest to do so. I've been poking around various corners of the Matrix, trying to dig up what I can. Most sinless leave a data trail the size of an aircraft character in their wake. Hey, Sam. Working backward in time, Raymond starts out that way, but it slowly tapers into nothingness. Sure, I can find some basic records in Seattle, power utilities, a couple of public discussion sites he signed up for, but the further back I get, the less I find. The craziest part is, prior to 2032, I can't find anything at all, and that shouldn't be possible. Like Raymond didn't exist before then. I don't know. I'm going to keep digging, but it'll take me a while. I'll let you know when I got some news worth sharing, Isabel. So we have 0 red messages now. We can walk away. Meet Kenny Chang's friend. I have $2 grand. Probably get some more cybernetics. You enter the Wu's cabin to find him moving through some sort of stretching routine. His muscles ripple as he flows tranquility from one pose to the next. You look different, pal. Do I? Yeah, like I flipped forward a few chapters instead of turning a page. I mean, you look like, just not the you I knew. What? I've been on one mission. I don't get it. I get it, you too. Just a lot leaner. Wu looks down at his torso, chuckles. I don't... It's one mission. It doesn't make any sense. And okay, so we do have to sleep. Do I have to sleep after every mission? Or should I sleep after every couple of missions? Like, I don't know how the flow of this game works. Remember how Lockjaw used to make fun of my gut? He used to call me Dunkin' Donut. He smiles, his teeth are perfect. I guess I got tired of that whole running out of energy walking up the stairs thing. Plus, I needed to slim down to get into the academy. Once I got up and started exercising, you know, really exercising, I found out that I loved it. It's the focus, I guess. I don't have to think about anything. I don't have to talk to anyone. All I have to do is concentrate on my form and count my reps. Was he talking about the past? Okay, because I'm like, I don't understand. And no matter what happens after all, I've started my day accomplishing something. So what about you? Gives you once over. How are you doing? But how'd you expect? Been better. Well, I gotta tell you, you're good at running this crew, pal. There's something I still don't completely understand. He picks up an ammo box and begins using it like a dumbbell. What do you get out of being a Shadowrunner? I don't know. I can't put my finger on it. Carter said that an unexamined life isn't worth living. He smirks. Well, whatever you get out of it, I doubt the trade-off worth the shorter lifespan. And at the end of the day, what are you? A Shadowrunner. A disposable asset, sinless. Slithering through the cracks of society, doing jobs that are too dirty for the cops to do themselves. You don't even appear on a corporate balance sheet. Make it sound so unglamorous. Oh, I never said that we didn't get to dress well. If we're gonna be someone's disposable asset, you might as well go out in style. We watches you waiting for you to say something. Thinking about getting chromed up? With Syra? He shakes his head. How many times are you gonna ask me that? Until you give me a satisfying answer. He grins, his teeth are blindingly white. I told you one time I was thinking about it when I was 13. Let it go. I'm not going to pollute my body with that. You? Oh, I'm saving up for something. No judgment here. Just don't put too much of that stuff on your body. I've heard stories about folks who went too far, lost some of themselves. I want to talk about you and me. He rests his eyes on you a moment, his face neutral. Yeah, I guess now's as good as time any. You start. You're not acting like the Duncan Wu that I grew up with. What made you decide to become a cop? I needed structure bad. You know that better than anyone. I was always hardcore when we met. I was already hardcore when we met. Mr. Ultraviolence. Do anything to get a rise out of the guys I was rolling with. Gouging eyes. Okay, so I'll have to sleep after this. Gouging eyes, inverting knees, curb stomping. It got me shares. I was like a pit fighter, bloodletting for the crowd, and I learned to enjoy it. But I never learned how to block out the memories of their screams when I was lying in bed at night. The guilt started eating me alive, and then I was scared to be alone with my thoughts, so I tried to drown them out with all the things that you drown things out with. I remember that you were pretty messed up when we met. He shakes his head sadly. Yeah, I was. But I got a lot better when I found a squat together, and even better later when we went to live with Ray. I was still violent, but basically under control. And that's because of you, pal. You were the voice of reason and the brains. Me, the brains? Don't pretend you weren't the leader. You know how it was. We ran the streets together. I was the muscle and you called the shots. You pointed and I hit. But later, after Ray got me some counseling, I realized that I could call the shots so that I wouldn't have to. I let you call the shots so that I wouldn't have to. Because I knew that what I wanted was wrong. By following your lead, I was deflecting my own guilt onto you. I would just knock heads and walk away clean, you know? Don't look at me. I'm just doing what I'm told. And then you left. Without you there, I knew I was in serious trouble, the poster boy for anger management issues. Raymond provided a stable environment, a decent therapist, and money for prescriptions. But you know Raymond. He's an egghead engineer with a streak, not a drill sergeant. And a drill sergeant was what I needed. I've always struggled with that word. Anyways, I need structure and discipline in a way that he couldn't offer me. I needed a cage to keep myself in line. So I found myself a cage made of rules and procedures and training. Lone Star. Raymond helped me with my application and provided a decent character reference. I got in and it helped a lot. Lone Star got me where I needed to be, and now it's all gone and you're back. Seems like Carter's death hit you pretty bad. He continued stretching. Yes, she was a good one. We were a real team. Joining Lone Star helped me in all sorts of important ways, no doubt about it. I really embraced being a cop. I studied hard, but no matter how hard I worked, I was never more than a model cop with a brutal streak. There were plenty of assignments that were perfect for a big, mean orc like me. Assignments that would have fed my need to hurt people. But I met Carter about a year in, and she changed things. She talked about values and goals and priorities and constructing the life you want to live. She was a real trip. Sounds like a good woman. She was a cop, a partner, a mentor, and a serious badass when she needed to be. But yeah, she was a good person too. She kept me focused. When Raymond asked me to meet him in Hong Kong, I had a feeling I was going to wind up going off a reservation if I didn't bring Carter along. And now she's gone, and here I am. I think you only took a step off the reservation. You can choose to step back too. You sound like her now. With Carter, there was always a choice to be made, a positive action you could take. Wu folds his arms across his chest and nods to himself, satisfied. You've waited a long time to ask me about the night I left, haven't you? Wu chuckles, hooks his thumb in his belt. I guess I have, yeah. It's about what you were doing before you got thrown into that corp facility. You said that you had a friend who was in the bind, but that's all you could say. How'd it go? Let's just say that we're not friends anymore and leave it at that. Whatever you say, pal. Oh, gosh. Okay. You ever think about when we were kids? Vivian's moving some sort of pattern. Maybe Tai Chi? I try not to. What are you talking about exactly? Oh, man. The time before we moved in with Raymond. Oh, the dark times. We're not exactly talking about an idyllic youth here, pal. Sleeping in dumpsters, running from ghouls, fighting over scraps, Boo stops moving, dress off for a moment, and defending your territory. If we hadn't found that spot in the abandoned building, found Lockjaw and Doubletray, we probably wouldn't be here. So weird to think about it that now. I mean, realize that they were teenagers, right? Younger than Gobbet. They felt so old back then, but Lockjaw couldn't have been more than 17 tops. And Doubletray was only 13 when Wu pauses, lost in thought. Why are you thinking about back then? Thinking about the thing DT used to say. Wu returns to his patterns. He manipulates an imaginary soap bubble between his hands. Improvise, adapt, overcome. That's how you beat the street, I remember. I remember Doubletray saying that. It was like while we were living between the red hot nukes and the 162s. Crazy dwarf anarchists on one side and fleshy ghouls on the other. Those were the days that you long for? Long for? No, I was just thinking that it's the same now as it was back then. His raspy baritone fills the space between you, bridges it. Thrive and watch each other's backs. Yeah, I know. What'd you think about the last run? I guess we're vandals for hire now, renting ourselves on the tips of people's tables and scrawl graffiti on their walls. I don't know, pal. Feels like Bush League Barons Ganger stuff to me. And kind of stuff we outgrew when we were 8. Hey, paid well. Yeah, and I can't argue that. I mean, if people in the free enterprise are convinced that interior direction is a matter of life and death, I'm not going to argue. It's stupid, but I've taken money for all kinds of stupid things before. Yeah, I remember that time when you got the job in the private club on Cleveland Street. I was young, I had moves. It paid paid well for the summer. Oh my gosh. He crosses his arms over his chest. Yeah, and you're just jealous they hired me over you. Anyways, enough about that. Need anything else? We'll talk later. I've, literally learned some things about Duncan here. Yeah, later would be good. Don't get me wrong. Catching up is nice, but I'm not used to being as social as this. It's one of the reasons why it was nice to work under Carter. We both appreciated long silences. I'll clear out then. Give you your personal space. Thanks, I'll bask in it. Oh, and good talk, pal. I'll catch up with you later. Okay. I feel like the conversations in these games just got longer. Like, the first one, conversations were pretty short. And I feel like this one, the second one, I thought they were pretty long. And this one, I'm just like, oh my gosh, there's so much talking. There's less story and more, just talking. Tell me about yourself. Something? Okay. Oh, well, we've already talked about that. We're gonna go. I don't want to deal with this. We're gonna go back down. We're gonna go to sleep, and then we're gonna take on another mission. You wake with a start, your limbs bound up in a sweaty tangle of linen sheets, and incredible sorrow swells in your chest. You feel empty, half-starved, and alone. Fragmentary memories of half-remembered dream build through your mind. They're already fading away. Chase the memories. Close your eyes and concentrate, willing to keep the dream from slipping away. Gradually, the memory comes back to you. The walled city. You were back in the walled city. You don't remember how you got there, but it couldn't have been anyplace else. Even the barons weren't so squalid. Remember craning your neck to look above you. The buildings that made up this part of this walled city were new construction, even cheaper than the old. Now their foundations had rotted out from under them, and the building leaned into one another like a gang of drunken men. A rain of plaster and asbestos sprinkled down, dusting your shoulders. You began to creep forward, picking your way past the piles of refuse and debris, past the pimps and dumpster fires, the broken glass and the dirty needles. The air reeked of rotten sewage and industrial waste, a disgusting melange that caught in your sinuses and crawled down your throat. You gagged on the stink, but it didn't slow you down. In the back of your mind, you knew that... I have like a hair. You knew that you had no reason to be doing this. There was nothing for you in the walled city. You shouldn't have been there. The rest of you was hungry, unbearably, indescribably hungry. The part of you knew that if you keep moving, you'd finally get to eat. As you forced your way deeper into the walled city, locals stood at their windows and stared. Inexplicably, some of them dropped to their knees. You kept moving. You'd see something in a distance, a silhouette, something enormous, at least twice the size of a troll, but delicate. It was beautiful. The huge figure beckoned you, gesturing with slender limb. An explosion of warmth filled your chest, and you knew if you could only reach it, your problems would be over. She, would make all your sorrows disappear. You moved forward at a crawl, but the figure felt impossibly far away. You reached out, calling to her, and then you woke up. The empty feeling in your stomach slowly fades, taking the strength and vibrance of the memories along with it. Well, that's pretty crazy. I know it's not too boring. I mean, it's too wordy, but I don't consider it to be too boring. I think it's just one of those things where I'm like... my throat's already a little sore, and so it's just like I don't want to, like, read too much. 3 people, possibly locals, are busily hunched over, avidly discussing something beneath their breath. From the looks of them, they appear to be sailors. Rough-hewn clothes stained by salt, leather skin, and acute awareness of being on land. You watch their feet shuffle awkwardly on the docks. Their whispers adjust when they're earshot. "I'll ask Crafty," she said the same. "Them dreams is bad. Think we'll lose them at sea? We're supposed to set out soon to make that delivery. What if they follow us?" You see the man shudder. "I don't think so. Crafty said these things just affecting right here for now." The first sailor points to the ground. "As soon as we sail, dreams will stop." "Hey." The third sailor sees you and taps her friend on the arms. They shoot upright. One examines his fingernails. Another coughs loudly and begins to hum. The last pretends she didn't see you. But when they sense your continued stare, the third speaks up. "What are you looking at, lady?" "I overheard you talking about the dreams. I've had them too." You feel an uneasiness pass through the sailors. Seems anyone who comes by these parts is having them. And as soon as you leave, the dreams stop. Right? It's eerie. Any leads on why they're happening? We don't know much ourselves. We've only just returned from our last delivery, but the dreams ambushed us fast enough. "Hey, what about that Crafty?" The sailor turns to you. "She runs the 5 phases, smart girl. Might know a thing or two about this blight. You ask her, and she may have something more to say." "Hey, there's a merchant here. Did he leave?" The 3 sailors' suspicions turn into smirks. One snickers to herself. "Merchant," she says. "Our crook didn't so much as leave as he was chased off by Kindly. No sales permit. Not a big loss, though. The local shops have way better stuff than that small-time hustler. Why don't you look around? You'll find the shop owners here more friendly towards you now that you've gotten the okay from Kindly. Thanks for the tip." They exchange a look. The first sailor responds. "Right, and stay careful around these parts." "Didn't mean to interrupt. See you later." They whispers resume. Gotta like find... Oh, there's Handsome Lee. We found him. We can tell him off. It's mugging you out, even for Haoi in monsoon season. You pause to mop your brow. Suddenly you feel eyes upon you. As you glance up, you meet the tranquil, searching gaze of a man half hidden in the shadows. He's wearing a crisp, white, tailored shirt sleeves neatly rolled, with a dark gray silk tie and smart black trousers. If he's sweating, you don't see it. The man tilts his head ever so slightly in greeting. "Ah, newcomer, welcome." He flashes you a brilliant smile, eyes glinting with amusement. You can just barely detect a faint trace of his accent in his voice. "Handsome Lee's the name, purveyor of enchanted sensory experiences. I can see that you've got some tales to tell. I ran into someone with a message for you." Handsome Lee beckons you closer with a languid gesture. "I think you can guess. Stefan Dynamite?" He coolly raises an eyebrow at you. You're so smart that you can guess what the message is? From an avid consumer like Stefan, there's only one possible message. More. Actually, there are two possible messages. The second one goes, my dealer poisoned me. His smile broadens. The myriad of drugs that Stefan filters through his system, it's almost an honor to be singled out this way. He said, that said, I seriously doubt that I poisoned him. Go ahead, tell me what he wants. What do you think? He wants his new union back. He straightens abruptly from his elegant slouch and juts his chin out. There was absolutely nothing wrong with my latest creation. It was painstakingly designed to elevate the senses and titillate the spirit, a smooth high that I have indulged in myself. Now, if the unfortunate Stefan happened to dilute my masterpiece with another, lesser substances, I can hardly be held responsible. His tone of finality is unmistakable. You can use all the flowery language you want. I'm not leaving here empty-handed. He stares at you for a long moment, then reaches into his breast pocket. With a deft motion, he pulls out a small packet and presents it to you. There is no money, not anymore. I have expenses. Just as sure as I'm sure that you do. But here, give this to Stefan with my regards. What's in the package? A freebie. It's what our dear Stefan Dynamite really wants, whether he'll admit it or not. Deliver it with my compliments. His brain is putting it already. More drugs won't help him. Dealer regards you steadily. Of course they won't, but they will bring relief, and if I'm not mistaken, that's what Stefan is itching for right now, correct? Relief? What good is a temporary fix anyhow? Why bother? Lee acknowledges you with a nod. It's a fair question. Stefan's problems won't be resolved overnight. My little gift simply lets him know that someone cares. His smile widens, and he tilts his head towards you expectantly. It just keeps him from getting clean. Lee shrugs dismissively. I seriously doubt that withholding my drugs from him would do anything but hurt my pocketbook. He's not trying to kick his habit. He'd just go to another dealer, so why shouldn't I foster my relationship with the poor man? Anyway, he holds the packet towards you and gives it a shake. Take this, give it to him. It should help him, at least in the short term. I'll take the drugs. Very good. Please let him know how it goes when you're done. We're gonna go talk to him, see if we can find him again. He was over here, wasn't he? I know he was over here. He lolls on the sidewalk while he jerks less as he moves. His skin is taken on a gray hue and his chest heaves with a labored breath. His sunken eyes swivel towards you. He wets his parched lips and addresses you. And like there's construction. Hello, I'm relieved to see you. I thought you might not return. Can't trust anyone. This is a bad place. Hey Steve, I hate to say it, but you're not looking so hot. Fat tears begin to cascade down his dirty, ruined face. I don't want to sleep because of those nightmares. I'm ravenous, so ravenous, but food makes me ill. I've got the shakes real bad too. I just want this to end. The junkie slumps in place, furrowing his brow. He responds with difficulty. Anyway, thanks for talking to that guy for me. So you got my money? You didn't have your money. He gave me this to pass off to you instead. The junkie's eyes light up at the sight of the packet from Handsome Leaf. Oh. Maybe kicking the habit would be a better idea. It practically ruined you, man. He chuckles softly. It's purely circumstantial that I picked drugs as my escape. I'd just seek out another dependency, so I might as well take Lee's free stuff. Packet, please. That's bold, but you need to want to quit for yourself. The man joins his palms in a beseeching manner. I promise I start cutting back, starting tomorrow, really. Junkie's trembling hands shoot out, his fingers curling and uncurling. I can't let you do this to yourself. You take another hit, and I'm gonna hit you. Got it? Junkie cowers before you. His eyes blaze with anger, but he relinquishes his grip. Hope you feel proud of bullying sad sacks like me. I don't really want that hit anyhow. I'm gonna do you a favor by taking this packet away from you. His eyes glitter with tears. Yeah, sure you are. I am trying to help. Steven, now I want you to tell me about these dreams of yours. He looks at you suddenly suspicious. You wanna ask me about my dreams? Why? Because I'm having bad dreams too. Maybe we can get to the bottom of them together. He stares at you in the eye. His voice drops to a sharp whisper. They aren't like the ordinary dreams. They're visions. They're so real. I put all kinds of substances in my body, and I've never experienced anything like this. You were practically raving the last time we talked. Explain your dreams to me clearly this time. He nods, though his tongue stumbles and stalls as he speaks. I was walking through a series of dark, narrow halls. It stinks to high heaven, and I run into more and more people as I move forward. The people are jostling me, but I'm starving, like I haven't eaten for days. I just want some food, so I press on. I start seeing children in the crowd, children with terrible burns, disfigured faces. All these people are grabbing at me. He begins to tremble from head to foot, and his eyes bulge. Then I see all these teeth around me. I feel the teeth on me, bathed in sweat from the effort of speaking. He cradles his head in his arms. Okay, Steve. Let's talk about the drugs. You said that you're on a lot of them, right? He gives a weary smile. More than I can count. I used to get my kicks from explosives. I love blowing up stuff, seeing glass splintering and solid walls disintegrating, flames licking the sky. Not anymore. Now I stick to needles and pills. You blew stuff up? I was a bomb maker. I designed custom ordnance. It was a dream job, plus it was very lucrative. He rubs his thumb and forefinger together then snaps. Megacorps couldn't get enough of the devices I invented. I was too high on my own ego to wonder what they were up to. What were they doing? They were fueling wars. They often managed to sell to both sides in conflicts all over the world. Casualties. There were high casualties. So by selling them, there's blood in your hands? The junkie's already sick power transaction. It's not even as simple as that. He balls his hands into fists on his lap. I thought my bombs were used in wars against militia, mercenaries, and armies, and I didn't think of them as people. But the weapons I developed were used against civilian targets. The man starts digging his rough fingernails into his palms so hard that tiny crescents of blood stains in his palms. I'm from Guizhou. Sushan has taken over much of the province, but pockets of resistance remain. There was big political struggles, actions removed from the lives of ordinary people. The village where I grew up in Guizhou was annihilated. There were tobacco farmers, winemakers, peasants, not military. Tears streaked from the man's eyes, tracing narrow lines down his filthy cheeks. I recognized the distinctive patterns, the traces that were left behind. They were my bombs used to shatter the landscape of my childhood. Why would they bother bombing your village? To break the spirit of the people. It broke mine. His shoulders heave and shake, and he passes a hand over his face. I just want to forget. The drugs help sometimes. When it was bombed, did you lose anybody? Meet you with a gaze, with red-rimmed eyes. Him throws his arms wide. I knew them all, from the frailest elders to the littlest children. My own family died too. We weren't always close. Pyromaniac inventors don't fit in well with agricultural backwaters, but they were my only kin. I get a picture here. I guess I must be feeling guilty about the bombs, huh? All the blood on my hands. I can feel it all the time. Just like the bombs. I don't want anyone to get hurt. He clutches his face, sobbing. How am I going to ever make this go away? How will I live with myself? The drugs help me forget, but he shakes his head, a look of utter hopelessness on his face. Wow, that's a rude one. Give me your new yin. Well, you could start by helping some kids, or stealing your bomb schematics back. Helping kids, stealing my... Junkie sways mutely in place, gnawing on his lower lip. I wouldn't know where to begin. Need time to think. Children are the future, man. Find a charitable organization and put in some hours, for starters. The man lowers himself into a squat and hugs his knees, his gaze somewhat absent, his cheeks glazed with tears. There are a couple of shelters where I used to crash when I was less down and out than I am now. There were lots of families. I could help out. The man pauses, licking his lips, his mouth feeling for the right word. But in the end, I'd probably need to go home, to Guizhou. Then I can bring myself... I'll tell you what, I'll think about it. He nods eagerly. I'll think real hard. Guess the best I could hope for. Best of luck, Steve. Thanks. Cool. I feel pretty good about that. I feel really good about that. Because he definitely doesn't need to be on drugs. I want to go back down here and go in here. And see what I can get here. I would like your services. Cyberware. Well, I don't see what I want. We're just gonna, yeah. Would like the grenade throwback one. So you're from the Midwest. How'd you land in Hong Kong? He bites one of his nails and regards you with a hint of suspicion. Well, that's a long story and kind of personal. Involves some jobs, a girl, a real good reason to leave Chicago, a whole tons of guns and money. Chicago, are you following the news of the quarantine? Yes, I am. It's a terrible thing that just happened. My old hood is inside the containment zone. A lot of good peeps locked up behind the wall. I read the postings on your wall, the ones about the bug spirits. Yeah, some of the leaked material is pretty convincing. Mega, Vitus Plague, bug spirits. I'm not sure which is more scary. Well, maybe it's The Walking Dead. Think about it. We've got at least 4 HMHVV variants. I think it's only a matter of time until we get zombies. He gives a nervous shiver. The nearby robotic arms tremble briefly. I'd take zombies over these bug spirit things, tell you what. Hong Kong seems a long way from Chicago. He smiles, but there's a steely look in his eyes. Sometime a guide needs just a change of scene. Were you Shadowrunning? Yeah, stuff like that. He smiles, warms up a little. I was a hardcore vehicle rigger back then, before Johnny Law cracked down on road rigs. Man, they were the cowboy days. Freaky as hell, but great to remember. He gets a wistful look on his face. Yeah, man, those bug spirits, I think was the only thing wrong, really, with the first game. Like, that was the worst part. Rebuild trucks and chop shops, reinforce the frames, bolt armor on, mod the suspension with robotics, drive them right through the front window of the building, then bash aside Lone Star cruisers on the way out. Good times. You do that in Hong Kong, you get auto barricades and missiles. Crying shame. Anyway, I needed to get out of Chi Town, spread my wings. A nearby spider drone fidgets. You know how that goes. A girl was involved getting you here? Yeah, there was. He shrugs awkwardly as if to make light of it. His voice has a strain to it. That's a story for another day. It's grand digging up the wreckage of the past, pal, but it's time wasted. I left Chicago, I landed in Kong, and after running the Kong shadows, I landed here in Chrome Alley. That's really the gist of it. Now we better get back to what we're doing. Oh, earning a living. Sure. We're gonna... Oh wait, I should probably buy medkits. Medical supplies. Let's sell that and that and that. So, cool. That is what I want. Put that there. I'm pretty good about that. Time to go. I mean, that and like the way, like, no matter how high my spirit was, I'd still lose my peeps. I think that's like another thing I didn't like. Where's Crafty? Is she back here somewhere? No, Spider Shen. We haven't talked to him yet. Despite the wind and pain pelting Hui, the proprietor of the stall, a monk, judging by their outfit, is unconcerned. The monk's expression is indifferent, though hardly placid or serene. Muscles show tightly wound metal bands beneath the skin, ready to snap in any direction without warning. What's more, the monk robes are anything but ordinary. Certainly, silk makes up the base outfit, but it's paired with high-impact ballistic armor, heavy-duty boots, and a bandolier of throwing knives. The table in front of you is arrayed with a wide variety of melee weapons, charms, jade pendants, and other mystical countermints. Beneath the awning in the rear are rows upon rows of cages, each housing some variety of exotic reptile or insect. Those in turn are flanked by jars, boxes of Chinese herbs, incense, powder, and inks. The monk stares at you only the shortest of glances as you approach. I am Monk Shen. Most people in Hawaii call me Spider Shen on the account of the spider back there. You're not a local, not by a long shot. It's definitely a statement, not a question. Yeah, I would have loved to do that. Bring Jake, Bear, Shadow Lady, and the Coyote. Man, I miss Coyote. She was pretty cool. And it would have been cool if we could have brought all of them and then, like, had more guns. Yeah, but what about it? Shen shrugs, swings an open palm across the table in front of you. You probably have more reason to buy something than my neighbors, and I'm here to sell, so that's good. Swords, knives, gloves, I sell it all. I make most of these, but if I can't, I've got friends who can. Need incense or salves for meditation, I make and sell those too. And if your joints ache, I can give you acupuncture. Shen places both palms on the table, leaning over it towards you with a wicked grin. So what can I show you? Wait, look at your wares. So we got those. I don't really care. And those don't help me either. You sell snakes and spiders too? Shen shakes a finger at you, eyes narrowed. No, they're mine. I can sell you the things I craft with my hands or the things I can do. The medicines and poisons I make are my secret. You want those? You apprentice to me. In 5 years, maybe I show you how to make a poultice, eh? They're that secret? Of course they're secret. They're what set me apart from the rest of the street dealers in Hawaii. You want cram or bliss? Any two-bit triad punk can make that for you. But I can realign your ki, set your yin and yang in balance, or set somebody else's out of balance with a few drops. To master my skills, you need to learn for years. It's not just following a formula. You want to learn, you need practice. You need patience. You try to learn without patience, all you do, ape the masters. I don't understand that. Shen snaps his two fingers and points at the cages. You have to understand them to learn my art. Otherwise, you never become a master. Might as well get a skill soft. So you're a monk and a weapons dealer? He raises an eyebrow. Yeah. Where else would the ancient masters have gotten their legendary swords and spears? Down at the mall? I was at Wunang Mountain for 15 years before coming back to Hong Kong. I've been practicing Xing Yi Quan my entire life. That's how I learned the herbs as well as my forms. It just so happens I'm good in a forge too. That's why what you buy here is better than most other people's. What is that? She strikes a hidden pose, body low, one fist against a hip while the other is extended in open palm. The 5-element fist style. Water grows food, which burns to become fire. Fire then creates ash and earth, which condenses into metal, etc. The form cycle the 5 elements, and opposing elements block each other. A water fist will break a wooden defense, but a water block will extinguish fire. Should one use a water interception on a metal fist, however, water will be smashed apart. Direct, simple, powerful. Not so elegant as Bajquan or Tai Chi, but much more powerful. He then pulls the tarp away from the nearby lump. The object beneath the tarp is revealed as a door to the Ares City Master armored personal carrier. It's been caved inward by a massive amount of force. In the dead center of the door is an indentation into which Shen's fists would fit perfectly. Power comes from focus, and focus comes from practice and meditation. Jingji Quan produces more power than most other forms of Kung Fu and applies it in a highly focused way. So why become a weapons dealer? I was a runaway, street orphan in Aberdeen. One day, an old man who calls himself Wo, or Wu, offered to take me in, let me make something of myself, as long as I worked hard. Nothing in this life is free, friend, not even Grandfather Wu's help, so I work for him now. It's not like he's part of the triad. She rolls eyes at this. Obviously, you think I'm in Kindly's little haven for no reason. She and Grandfather Wu are on good terms. I don't get in her way, I pay a cut to her, and everyone's happy, even Wu, because I solve problems for him. She raises a bald fist, which suddenly bursts into a Wu Fei. After a moment, it gutters and goes out. Remember that, if anyone ever gives you something for free in Hawaii, you pay it back with money or blood, but you pay it back regardless. And it does sound like the Avatar. Why are they special? Because I take great care with them, and I've studied the ancient texts. Anyone can make an excellent carbide steel blade. And I can make that carbide blade burst into flames. I can make it sing with joy in combat. Anyone can make steel, but not everyone can awake its soul. They see the ones you've awoken? She waves her hand at you dismissively. No, of course not. Swords like that have to be custom ordered by someone. Only when someone cancels an order do I just have one laying around. And believe me, they get snatched up real quick. Let's talk about something else. That is all I want to talk about. Man, I can't find Crafty. Is she down here somewhere? It's Jin. Oh, is that it? Should probably talk to him. Okay. As you approach the small landing, you see 3 men, 2 elders, and a younger man hunched over a go board. The juxtaposition of the 2 white-haired, white-bearded men and the black-haired man is almost comical. Together, the 3 resemble the small black and white stones of their game. Despite the variety of ambient distractions, the 3 men remain acutely focused on the game. One of the elders, a round-faced man with a beatific smile, carefully picks up a black stone and places it on the board. His opponent snorts and a small smile flashes across his long face. Almost carelessly, he snatches a white stone and deposits it on the board. The smiling man groans, and the long-faced one proceeds to collect several black pieces off the board. Ah, you've got me there, Jin. He laughs, the pleasant full sound. As it trails off, he spots you watching the game. A broad smile brightens his cheeks. Why, hello there, young woman. Something you need? Jin, the long-faced man, gives you a curious look and continues to collect black stones. Mr. Gawkershoe, it's your turn. Name's Pow. Got a second to answer a question or two? He nods. I could use a short break. How about you, Jin? He sighs, shoulders slumped forward. After a moment's scowling, he reluctantly speaks. Fine, a short break. They turn toward the younger man. He looks like he's in his early 30s, but it's difficult to tell. The skin on his face is smooth and supple, with only a suggestion of creases at the eye, mouth, and forehead. But small gestures, a blink, a flare of his nostrils, briefly reveal the lines on his face. The man's eyes raise from the board and study the elders. He nods. I hear about strange dreams. Have you had them? The 3 men exchange looks and turn to you. What a coincidence. Wasn't it an hour ago that we were all discussing the very thing? We've been having bad dreams, every one of us. Mind sharing? He shakes his head and crosses his arms. What makes you think we'd be comfortable sharing our dreams with a complete stranger? Seems like a good way to get ourselves in trouble, especially with the kind of kids can do with the Matrix you all love so much. Huh. He waves his hand dismissively at Jin. Don't mind him, he's always a poor spirit. But he raises a good point. Some of our dreams contain information best left private, just as yours do, I'm sure. Having just met, how can we be sure that you'll respect our personal information? I'll tell you. The young man's voice cuts through the din like a razor, and the elders fall silent. He turns to you and locks his eyes, dark orbs that burn with piercing scrutiny, onto yours. He nods and returns his gaze to the go board. I believe you're trustworthy, pal. Please make yourself comfortable. I'll share my dream with you. I appreciate it. He exhales slowly, then begins speaking. I dream of a long, dingy hall. When faced with such a thing, one generally walks its length, so I lifted my right foot and placed it in front of me. Upon taking the first step, I found myself instead drawn down an alleyway to my left. It wasn't there before this alley. It appeared only as I began to walk. As I moved down the alley, I found myself surrounded by friends and loved ones. They all stood, silently watching me with smiles on their faces. And as I passed each one, they fell to the ground in my wake, dropping like puppets with severed strings. Somehow, I knew that if I followed this road to the end, I could have everything I've ever dreamed of. But I woke up before I could reach it. He folds his hands in his lap. There's a moment of silence before Shu speaks up, the rosiness in his cheeks having drained away. I too saw the long hall. My own experience was different, however. The hall was far off in the distance, and I was looking down on it from a strange angle, as though I were perched on a wall high above. He pauses and looks at you. You know, young woman, Pow, you look very much like the person I saw walking that hall. She moved steadily down the path, walking at an even pace. Just behind her, a great and terrible shadow followed. Of course, I didn't have the best view up there on the wall, or whatever I was. It could have been anyone. Perhaps this old mind of mine is seeing your face now and misremembering the dream. He lets out a chuckle. All right, Jin, go ahead. I've changed my mind. I don't want to share my dream. Nonsense. Master Lao and I have both told her our dreams, and now it's your turn. No. I don't want to force you to do anything. He holds his palm up towards you and looks at Shu. See? Straight from the horse's mouth. I don't have to. Jin. Lao's voice is firm but soft. This is important. Jin's mouth opens and closes like a gasping fish, but as he looks at Lao, his body relaxes and a sadness seems to take hold in his feature. All right, but don't you go repeating any of this, you hear me? He takes a deep breath and slowly releases it, folding his hands in his lap. My dream begins as a nightmare. I dreamed of the failures and mistakes that I've made throughout my life, the people I've let down, the competitors I've crushed, the wife who died in hospice without me. I dreamed of the family that I abandoned. A change comes over him, his eyes brighten, and he continues interjectively. But then I dreamed of the walled city. I stood before it, and its door opened to me, and when I passed inside, all of my guilt fell away. It was as though the city had absolved me, had washed away my guilt, and I remembered feeling happy. As the remembrance ends, so does his lightened mood. His face shrinks into a pout, and he stares grumpily at the ground. There, I did it. You happy? Lao nods slowly. Thank you, Jin. Thanks. I will not abuse it. Yeah, now can we change its subject? My ulcer's acting up. Is this sort of thing normal? If it were normal, we wouldn't be huddled around discussing them in whispers now, would we? Enough of that, Jin. Pao here asked in earnest for our advice. She deserves a proper response. Please forgive our friend. Bitter years have left him suspicious of others. Oh gosh, okay. To answer your question is no. Upsetting dreams have never been uncommon Heioi, but these recent visitations have been different. They have been darker, more vivid, stronger than our normal dreams. Last night I felt consumed by the sense that something was coming. While my friends felt a sense of relief and excitement as their dreams ended, I felt as though I was sitting on the precipice of some vast and terrible chasm, with the void yawning beneath my feet. Suddenly his cheeks flush, he blinks twice, then looks away. But perhaps these are just the ramblings of an old man. Please forgive me. You speak wisely, Shu. It is foolish to embrace a thing that you do not understand. What Jin and I saw in our dreams was alluring, but so is the light to a moth. Your instincts are still strong and sharp, my old friend. It is wise of you to trust them. He bows deeply, his eyes to the ground. Thank you. I can only hope these dreams do lead to something beautiful. There's already enough deception in this world. Can we get back to the game now? I don't want to keep you waiting. Of course, stop by anytime, Pao. Your company's been refreshing. Thanks. Good luck with your game. Appreciated, young woman. We'll be seeing you. Okay. We're gonna go to Crafty, I think. Well, since we're here, we'll go here and then we'll go to Crafty. Smooth jab drifts from the chief seekers on a barge. A wide array of worn-down drones litter the battered deck. Most are utility and domestic types, but a few, cordoned off from others, are low-end security models. The salesman smiles indulgently at you, a tall, lanky human of clear Cantonese ancestry. He's wearing a cheap suit and limply clutching a smelly cigarillo. He adjusts his tie with exaggerated nonchalance, languid, ostentatious, like an American casino promoter. Hey there, beautiful. Welcome to our little floating haven. Heaven. You got a stunning look to you. What brings you to the reliable Matthews Robot Bazaar? He taps ash over a bulky cleaning drone beside him. Not waiting for an answer, he continues. Perhaps you're looking for a hexcopter as a guide to Hong Kong, or little-handed tartantular beauty to brew your tea. That's really weird. Morales, interested in your combat models. He looks over his shoulder at the security drone, some heavily cannibalized, in the corner of the yard. He turns back to you with a nervous smile. Funny you should ask. I've just gotten a Doberman that I'm selling at an incredible bargain. Shall we take a look? Sure. I can just see what he has. Okay, so that's all he does. That's good to know. Did you call me beautiful? You know it, beautiful. I hope I don't offend. I just can't help it. To me, everyone's beautiful. Okay, back at you, beautiful. Oh, a woman after my own heart. Incredible bargains till they fall off the back of a truck. Are you implying that they were stolen? If so, you're mistaken. He smiles indulgently, as if you've just said something in an alien language. This merchandise is provided only by trusted suppliers who certify the authenticity and workability of their goods. I don't furnish manufacturer certificates, but all the providers are really top shelf guys. Really beautiful people. Otherwise, I wouldn't carry their drones. Sounds good to me. Can I be a supplier if I have a spare drone? Well, it's an exclusive process. You need to be a member of the community in good standing, have good references, and pass a background check. He smiles widely. His eyes seem to twitch over you nervously. Or if you have all you have is the drone, I can work with you. Do the suppliers certify the untraceability of their goods? Absolutely. He proudly taps the As Technology logo emblazoned on a housework model beside him. Most of them are genuine knockoffs. Any IDs are stripped, but most were never registered in the first place. Where do they get them? Where do fans, prawns, and soy chips come from? Oh, Lucy's lovely textiles, or the electricity for the lights. Reliable Matthew sweeps his arm expansively at the heavens, trailing a steam of blue cigarello smoke. Where do you get this glorious bluebird sky? As it's raining, I love it. He takes a deep breath, staring rapturously at the gray clouds. He looks back down at you. His expression goes flat. He shrugs limply and speaks in monotone for a moment. There's smugglers and fences. I don't know where they get their drones. I think I understand the situation. Fantastic! I'd like to make sure all customers are thoroughly informed and feel completely comfortable with their purchases. Goodbye, Matthew. Inside of Matthew's trailer looks freshly scrubbed. It reeks of kerosene. Broad swaths of flaking paint have been removed, revealing the brittle plastic siding discolored by years of acid rain. You can still see the faded black traces of erased graffiti. It reads, Job Stealer. Something thumps inside the trailer. You can easily peer into the window. Look in the window. Inside are dingy, cramped living quarters, clustered with broken drones and unwashed dishes. What looks like a rumpled, motley colored shag carpet is shaped over half the tiny space, obscuring most of the furniture. After a moment, the shag carpet moves. It rises about a foot and surges slightly towards the window. Then it stops, pulsing and fidgeting. It's hard to see it clearly. Wipe the window. The carpet is actually a plush-covered drones. Teddy bears, raccoons, little dolls. There must be 24 inside the caravan, all companionship models. They're all looking at you as if they realize you're not Matthew. They're watching, fidgeting. Then in one coordinated motion, they all lie down and go dormant again. That's a bit creepy. A mild scent, sweet and slightly herbal, is the first thing you notice upon entering the old shop. Its quarters are cramped, made smaller by the display cases, and furniture packed inside. I mean, it doesn't feel cramped. The walls are lined with bookshelves, and the tables and chairs are stacked with old tomes. A few titles pop out at you. Lucid dreaming, an exploration of inner self. Dream logic, nocturnal visitations. Overall, the place feels lived in, if disorganized. Not quite cluttered, but close. Milling about at the front of the store is a shopkeeper, lost in a book of her own. She's tall for a human, probably close to 2 meters in height. I don't know how big 2 meters is. Give me a second. Is that like almost 6 feet? Yeah, that's 6 feet and 6.74. No. So it's 6 feet, 6.5 feet almost. So she's almost 6 foot. Her physique is typical bookworm, not overweight, but you can't see any muscular definition either. A wraparound tattoo covers her upper arms and shoulders, but from where you're standing, you can't quite make it out. She fidgets. Gradually, her eyes rise from her book and lock onto you. Welcome. Don't believe I've seen you before. She sets down her book and sweeps a strand of black and pink hair behind her ear. Aim's crafty. Wow, nice to meet you. She shakes her hand. She shakes your hand. Her grip is surprisingly firm. So, pal, what can I do for you? I've got spells, reagents, foci, whatever you want, really. Might have to do some digging to find it, but if it's magical, it's around here somewhere. Have you been having dreams? Her face is unreadable. Her eyes lock into yours. As a matter of fact, I have, pal, but we all get the occasional vivid dreams. Nothing special here. Really? Then why are you reading up on them? She flicks her wrist dismissively. Sure, it's a little weird that we're having them, But these types of dreams are common in the walled city. Nothing to get worked up about, probably. Strange. I met someone the other day who said that too. She nods. Anyone who's familiar with the walled city would know that, but most people don't go out of their way to find out. My mother devoted her life to researching the walled city and the magical phenomena within it. So I grew up with stories about the city, the recurrent creepy dreams being one of them. They're common then? She nods. Common is the cold. My mother devoted her life to researching the walled city and the magical phenomena within it. So I grew up with the stories about the city, the recurrent. Oh, we've already talked about that. I've never been inside the walled city myself, but my mom went in pretty regularly and experienced the dreams. Where is she now? Dead, she shrugs. Mom was interesting, but not praiseworthy. Is this a store? It's mine. I inherited it from my mom. As you can see, she generously left me all her research journals. Her words are thick with sarcasm. Mom was never a big cleaner, but neither am I. My mom used to keep the spirits around that helped her manage the store. They're not here anymore, but sometimes I swear my books aren't where I last placed them. Who knows, maybe they pop by for visits. I just wish they'd clean while they're here. What makes this place so special? It's old, respectable, built over a dragon line. She slightly tilts her head to the side. We also carry texts unavailable anywhere else, but I guess for me, I'm drawn to this place by nostalgia. How do you like working here? It's a job, can't complain. What's with the name of the store? It's a cultural thing. 5 phases represent earth, wood, earth, water, fire, and metal. Some people believe they're the basis of how things function and interact in the world. You'll find it practiced throughout China in disciplines ranging from farming to science, even music. Theory isn't common among the younger generations, but it has its uses. My mother was strongly influenced by it. In fact, our sign out front is the visual representation of the cycle of 5 phases. It was an inspiration to her. She shrugs. I just think it looks neat. Questions about something else? Tell me about yourself. I'm not sure where to start. What do you want to know? Is that your real name? Nope. A wave of nostalgia pulls over her. My name started out as a joke, actually. Back home, my mom used to call me Crafty since the meaning is similar to my given name. I liked it because it sounded the way it sounds. I insisted that my family call me Crafty, so it became a sort of nickname around the house. When I got older and started school in Hong Kong, I made my mom register me as Crafty, and it stuck. So what's your given name? Mao. She raises her hand to prevent you from replying. Yes, like a cat. You foreigners always make the same joke, which is why I grew up hating Mao. Call me Crafty. I mean, I would have never made that joke. Did you study magic too? I did. Natural predisposition. Or whatever, but Mom and I learned the craft differently. I went to university, she was book taught. My mom was very old school. Her magic wasn't as applicable to everyday situations, and it was rooted in superstitions. It still worked, and well, but only for more ritualistic ancient spells. Practical spells like rain shields and bottomless trash cans were outside of her repertoire. What do you do when you're not working? I've been pretty crunched here at the shop, so I don't have a lot of time outside for work. But when I'm off the clock, I like to read and paint, maybe kick back and enjoy a meal with my friends. My buddy Gobbet sometimes stops by with food. No drag racing or anything. Pretty boring. She sent me here saying that I should talk to you. She's a good person, isn't she? We're not real close, but we have a pleasant relationship, chatting over French fries, discussing our latest reads, shallow things. How do you know her? She and Isabel got me out of a tough spot. Good. Keep her by your side. Gobbet's pretty fluent in the ways of the city and the people who live here. She knows her stuff. If you stick with her, you'll find yourself in a lot less trouble than you would be otherwise. You said you paint? Just for fun. I don't make money off it or anything. I just find it relaxing. She pats her arms. Designed my tattoos, but that's about the extent that I take beyond the canvas. Like to see them sometime. Some of them are around the shop. You're welcome to take a look. I'm sorry. My eyes today are just killing me. What do you like to read? She claps her hands together. A slow smile spreads across her face. Aside from the usual, I love sitting down each morning to a tall cup of soy calf with the latest news streams on hand. I pop it right open to the obituaries. Makes for great reading. She smiles. Kidding. Well, for all you know. I tend to stray toward detective novels, maybe some suspense and horror, and when I'm not reading for leisure, I study my textbooks to keep my magic sharp. Sounds fun. So what's on your mind? Back to topic. What else do you know about the walled city? Very little. Just what my mother spent most of her time in there, and it messed her up. Is there something specific you want to know? I want to know about the people who live there. Walled City residents tend to fall into two groups. Those who are threats and those who are threatened. You either are hunting or hiding. Life is harsh. Most people never get out. Now there's a whole library here that just so happens to be the foremost location of the Walled City's text. I'm sure you can fill in the blanks. I've been thinking about the dreams. Can I ask you something? Go ahead. Why do you think they're affecting people outside the Walled City? It's definitely strange. Until now, I always thought the dreams were nonsense. That my mother just had night terrors because of her madness. But it's not. But now it's really happening, and not just to me, to others around Hawaii. Those same psychic forces that drove Mom insane are edging into our subconscious. Lately, I've been wondering if there might have been something to our ravings. Maybe. I've been skeptical for so long, it feels almost blasphemous to consider it. Maybe the Wild City curse is real. I just don't know. Maybe you can learn something from journals. That's true, but Mother's notes are scattered all over the shop. Most of her research is scrawled in the margins of books that you can see on the shelves in piles and stacks all over. The clues we'd need to figure this thing out could be in one of those volumes. There are thousands of them. I have a bad feeling about these dreams, Crafty. If there's anything you can do to get to the bottom of them, we need to take that opportunity. She sighs. Yeah, I know what I have to do. It's just look at them all. I guess I won't be finishing this one anytime soon. Alright, pal, I'm going to get started now, but it'll take some time. The 5 phases is jammed from floor to ceiling with books, and any one of them could be holding valuable information. Check in once in a while, and I'll share my findings. Sure thing, keep me up to date. Will do. The relationship was unusual? You better believe it. She was obsessed with the Walled City. Put it before everyone in her life. Mom ate, slept, and breathed that city. What was fueling her obsession? Yeah, actually, Mom was convinced that something was wrong with the place, that it was cursed in some way, polluted with unnaturally bad ki. She visited this city under the protection of the Yellow Lotus and spend hours, sometimes days, studying it. She tears in her eyes. Crafty tears tears her eyes away from the books and returns her gaze to you. Mom was consumed by her research. Did she find anything? She sure tried. Mom thought she could find a way to purify the place and exorcise its demons. Her obsession with the Wall City grew, and she devoted more and more of her life to breaking its curse. Wish I could say she fell off the radar, but really, the rest of the world fell off hers. I'm sorry. It is what it is, and here I am. She gives you a smile. Sounds like you don't believe in her research. I know we've just met, but you have a generous ear. I don't mind discussing my mother with you as long as you keep the details between us. Mother's research was stupid. Just plain stupid. She wasn't stupid herself. No, she was very bright. Her obsession was downright unhealthy. Anyone could see that. The Wall City is a toxic place, home to dark spirits and astral influences. But Mom believed in a singular curse at the heart of the place. Sounds like she's trying to make a difference. My mother failed to change the Walled City, and the time she spent inside there changed her. She grew sickly and became moody, irritable. She suffered from night terrors for the rest of her life. Must have been difficult to watch her decline. It wasn't just that. The breaking point for me was her ridiculous obsession. I refused to indulge her, and it drove a wedge between us. Neither of us were willing to relent. I guess we had that in common. Stubborn till the end. No, Kuma's not doing the dishes. There is a construction company here going through both of the apartment complexes to fix all the windows because there's issues with the windows, and they're just finished with the other building and are starting to work on ours, so there's going to be a lot of construction sounds in the background, and it won't be done till like the end of July. So after my mom died, I turned my back on her work. I am sorry about this, guys. And its people to themselves, and left the people to themselves. A toxic site beyond rehabilitation. I do my best to ignore it. Her composure breaks for a second. At least I've tried. Now with these dreams, these nightmares are leaking out of the Walled City. I wonder if I can still ignore it. Let me know what you decide. I do want to look at her wares. Yeah, so there's some more of the noise. I don't know if you heard that. So I'm half tempted to get heal wound on myself as well. Like super. Well, there's fetishes now. That's cool. That's also cool. But Disprazen, thanks. See you around. Okay, so let's go do a mission. Just quickly see if he has something to say. Wonder if I'd see you again. Is your friend Steven's hunger assured? Not assured. Ask you? I don't know. He should keep to himself for a while. Ah, very good. Thank you for helping defuse the situation, friend. Let's get back to business. What can we do for you today? Nothing. We don't want anything else from you at all. No, Kuma's napping on the couch. He was really sick yesterday. So I'm glad that he's actually napping and he's okay. Yeah, he, sadly, he got a hold of some palm oil of mine, and, it made him really sick. He ate it on Sunday, and it takes about 3 to 4 days to get through their system, and so he was throwing up yesterday, I don't know, for about half the day, and, he wasn't drinking water and wasn't eating food, and I forced him to drink water, I kept him hydrated on purpose, because he ends up with sick stomach frequently because he eats things he's not supposed to, and there's not much we can do to stop him, because he'll go outside and he'll just see something on the ground, and before you even get to him, he's eaten it. And so the vet told us that really when he does things like that, just withhold food for about a day, and then just make sure that he drinks 4 tablespoons of water every hour and a half to 2 hours to keep him hydrated, and then he'll be just fine. And that's exactly what we did. So, and he's doing better. He's actually sleeping, walking. He ate his medicine this morning without being forced to. He's eaten a little bit. He's getting better, a lot better. Yep, their dogs can be frustrating. I love him, but he's a little special. The streets of the garden are slick with rain. Oh, I didn't know I clicked this one. Glittering under the neon glow of myriad of signs and holographic displays. The sky reflects the same glow, painting the white apartment blocks, the sickly orange of sodium streetlights. The smell of grilling meat mingles with others. Rarer scents ooze engine oil and high-tech fabrication facilities. Despite the hour, there are plenty of people out and about, and you can hear the calls of street vendors and touts urging people to their stores. Wrinkling her nose, she wraps her arms tightly around her chest, staring off in the distance. Is there a word for feeling nostalgic for a place you can't wait to leave again? I don't miss this place, but I miss the feeling I had when I lived here. Not that I know of. She sighs heavily. The place seems like heaven after the walled city, like the whole world had unfurled in front of me, and anywhere I turned there was a promise of good life. Turned out this place was just as bad as anywhere else. Everyone was still in it for themselves. Gobbet clasps a hand on Isabel's shoulder. There's a great life lesson is, I'm serious. At the end of the day, life's a raw deal. You've got yourself and a handful of friends, and that's it. Nothing else. Duncan casts a sidelong glance at Isabel and Gobbet shaking his head. Got some real strange ideas about life. Sure, life's a meat grinder, but come on, there's got to be more to life than just surviving. Does there? What makes you the authority on that? I'm done talking about this anyways. He turns towards you. We're looking for the Wampoing elders. They're going to be in Wampo itself. That's a big ship down the street. The mall shaped like a boat. She nods. That's the one. Somebody thought it should be clever to make a uniquely shaped mall. Okay. Quickly save. Well, that's not good. kind of just wanted to get the look of this place. It doesn't look good. The orc woman is festooned with small circuits, tiny trid screens, and speakers. Trid screens display snippets of trid broadcasts from every corner of the world. Tiny speakers play counterpoint with a susurrus of voices speaking. I knew Punjabi, but I don't know the other languages there listed. Her expression is haggard, and she fidgets with her fingers as you approach. Welcome to Wampoa, my friend. I am Elder Nig, and these are Elders Tang and Ip. She gestures to the elf and the human, each incline their heads respectfully. Thank you so much for answering our request to help. We had nowhere to turn. It's the least I could do. Under Tang's skin, glowing tattoos writhe and change shape. Tigers become cranes and move on to dragons. We're under threat. One by one, we elders are being hunted by some monster. As you may have noticed when you arrived, there's been another killing just tonight. Ip crosses his solid chrome arms. Holographic readout stands constantly over their surface, displaying diagnostic information about their state. Operating temperature, servo pressure, and a variety of other minutiae. He looks past you towards Isabel. The prodigal daughter returned once more. I expect to see you back around Wampoa in my lifetime, Isabel. When you disappeared, Elder Itunde was very put out. I'm glad you're still alive. When you chose to walk your own path, I was disappointed, but I still understand why you had to leave. He pauses, tasting the air as he chooses his next words with care. I hope my lessons have helped you prosper. I didn't expect to be back either. Work takes you places, though. She shrugs. A moment later, she places a hand on her pistol, eyes trained on Ip's shoes. I can't cart this around for fun, Ip. The lessons kept me alive. She blinks several times and then looks at Nig, her expression clouded. Where is Yetunde anyways? I expected her to be here. She shakes her head sadly, reaches out a hand towards Isabel, who shrinks away. She's dead, so are Gon and Nakamura, and Tong was killed just tonight. So much blood. We have to stop this from continuing. Her expression remains passive, but her knuckles grow white as her hands ball into fists. That's what we're here for. We'll stop the killings. Thank you. She lifts her hand, wiping away the tears from her eyes. Tell us about the murderers. Started 2 weeks ago. First, it was Gon. We found him in his apartment, eviscerated. He'd been torn apart, his head had been ripped completely off, and most of his skin flayed away. There was so much blood, it took us a week to clean out his apartment. The rest have been the same. Always at night, always dismembered. Each scene is like a nightmare. Every time, nobody has seen anything. It's like a ghost. What happened to Tong? The same thing that happened to the rest of them. Eviscerated and dismemberment. Evisceration and dismemberment. We sent a guard to keep people out of his shop, but he'll let you in. When did he die? Sometime early tonight. He locked up his shop, but Ip stopped by to ask him about some skill chips he had. The door was unlocked and inside. Inside looked like a bad horror sim, just like all the other murders. It had to have happened after sundown because I saw his shop was open when I was on my way to get some noodles for dinner. Why didn't you call the police? Hong Kong police force isn't welcome here. They tried to force us out several times before, or come hunting for someone to pin a crime on. We do a lot of favors for local gangs and triads, handle their matrix security, fix up their gear, and make sure they have access to Hong Kong Shadowlands hub. We're too valuable of a resource for them to lose. They protect us from Hong Kong police force, or anyone else decides we're an easy target. They handle our physical security, and we make sure to send the message via the matrix. Last time the HKPF made trouble, we started airing the assistant chief's dirty laundry over the Trid. They got the picture and backed off. Have you made any enemies lately? Not that I can think of. We keep to ourselves. We buy and sell technology. We're not mercenaries or criminals. We're merchants and deckers. And even if someone was cheated in a deal, this kind of response is unthinkable. Whatever it is, it wasn't human. The violence and the savagery. It's a monster, whatever it is. Plenty of metahumans are monsters too, Nig. Just because it's horrible doesn't mean it's supernatural. What do you guys do? She snorts diversively. They make the rules, kick people out who don't obey them. They're a bunch of petty tyrants, that's what. You're being unfair, Isabel. Our laws are for the good of the community. We keep the Wampoans and its residents safe. We view trade agreements with outsiders to see if they're good for the community. We provide a guiding vision like a town council. People are weird. Our ways may seem strange to you, but they have sustained us for many years. I do not expect you to understand. I'm the invoker of sprites. I commune with the spirits of machines, ask them for blessings, and pass those blessings on to the people here. I heal the sick and ensure the feng shui of our habitat is good as it can be, given our confines. She's a shaman, that's all. She's got some kooky spin on it. Claims her totem is some kind of all-encompassing machine god that lives in circusry. Ancient gods and ancestors are one thing. My deck, it's mine. I built it. The only spirits in it are the ESPs I load it up with. Just because you cannot see or touch things does not mean that it does not exist. Just because you do not believe in it does not mean it does not protect you from afar. I can't touch programs either, but at least I can prove they have effect on the physical world. Your superstitions are just that. The guy treats drones like they're living things. What do you do, Tang? I am the first and glorious servo. I study patterns, repair machineries, and teach others how to attune themselves to the wonders of automation. The blessed AutoFab is my shop and purview where we make the drones we use and sell. As for me, I serve the resplendent voltage spike. That means I shoot people who try to mess with us. It's a fancy title for head of security. That's all for now. It might be wise to ask the residents of Wampoa Garden if they've seen or heard anything after you've gone to Tong's Sensory Carnival. They may have seen or heard things we have not. Good to know. Porter Lamb at your service. The elders told me that you'd be coming. They tell you what happened? Just the basics. Well, nothing's basic about this. I've seen people shot, stabbed, beaten to death. I've even seen a corpse that was so dry and desiccated I could have sworn a vampire got it. None of that's got anything on this. Brace yourselves and go on in. Looks like a scene out of a B-grade slasher film. The cloyant scent of incense hangs thick and pungent in the air, emanating from the small shop in the corner of the shop. Unfortunately, it does nothing to cover up the reek of death and clotted blood. Despite the ragged remnants of Elder Tong littering the floor, the rest of the shop appears to be in good order. At least at first glance, nothing is broken, tipped over, or otherwise ransacked. You're about to step further into the room. You glance at the ceiling walls. The blood from Tong's body isn't confined where it remains lying. Drying blood is spread about the walls and ceiling as well. That's really gross. It's a ruined mess. Destroyed ruin of his face is barely recognizable, and what's left of his body would best be described as savage. All of his limbs have been torn off, and a pile of flayed skin lies next to the remnants of the elder. The clothing has all been reduced to rags and tissue by cuts and tears, apparently sustained during the flaying. At this point, the only thing holding what's left of his body into a semblance of human form is the hair-thin fiber optics of his cyberware. Robert puts a hand over her mouth, speaking in an uncharacteristically serious tone. Sweet heaven, pal. I haven't seen anything like this since Auntie Wong tried to stash some cred sticks in a devil's rat nest. It takes a lot to turn my stomach, but we sure have a winner today. This is messed up. I second that. This isn't a murder. It's more like, I don't know, a feeding frenzy. If it weren't for the skin, I'd say Tong stepped on a mine or something. I've gobbet assents the body. You're the boss, man. Man, this is going to be unpleasant. Closes her eyes, takes a deep breath. After a moment, she opens them again and makes a strange grunting noise. There's no fear here, pal. No anger either. Just kind of a satisfied feeling. Tong never saw it coming, and whoever did it was professional about it, which is pretty odd, because nobody's professional about eviscerating a body, as far as I've seen. It wasn't an animal? I don't know why the killer was after Tong, but it definitely wasn't any kind of mindless creature. Or even someone particularly passionate. It was somebody who planned this and executed it and was glad about it. I don't know, it kind of feels like it was just business as usual. Do I have enough money? Enough money, enough points. Don't have enough points. I really was gonna get, where was it? Here, I was gonna get Biotech 3, but I chose not to. Man. Should have gotten it. Covered in splatter, smeared blood, hardened into a crusty congealed paste. Thick tracks of it run laterally. Looks like the blood had been deliberately smeared. You know, player choices is so frustrating. Hey pal, I don't know a whole lot about the science or all that, but I know that what blood looks like when it hits the wall. This isn't natural. Somebody deliberately smeared blood all over these walls. Look at how, like, it's got paint trails. That's because somebody used Tong's parts as a paintbrush. So they painted his walls with blood? Why? Do I look like a psychologist to you? Maybe because they're a freak. Maybe they're one of the 6 serial killers that see their murderers as art. I got no clue. All I know is this is what normal blood looks like a wall, and this isn't it. Some people have a bad grasp at art. I knew this guy named Wan Tung who used to make music out of stray audio, radio static, and panic button calls. Called it Crisis Wave. It was awful. Immaculate. The desk drawers are open and the safe that's built in one side has been opened. There's no sign of tampering, and the green light next to the word unlocked is blinking. Whoever opened the safe, they did it with a key fob. Inside are several blank cred sticks, but no sign of any money on them. Looks like someone looted his stash. A guy like this wouldn't keep only empty cred sticks. This is a Yamaha 95,000V SimSynth, a device for mixing and mastering SimSense, oh my gosh, SimSense chips. Several drive bays are empty and all of the chip jacks are empty. The screen is flashing a repeated error message. Warning, requested files cannot be found. Please return drives to bays and try again. I never debug it. She rattles out some commands on a SimSynth keyboard, stepping away after a few seconds to look at the satisfaction, with a look of satisfaction on her face. There, I've put the drive warning on suspend. It's in diagnostic mode only though. Maybe we'll learn something, maybe not. Memory, okay. Drive, error, assist bus, okay. Isabella studies the screen in details as letters and numbers scroll by. Looks like Tong was cooking some BTLs here. He's hacked the peak controller output cutoffs. Delta levels on sim chips are usually about 4 to 5, 6-5 for call hots. His delta peaks are pushing 12. That's brain burning territory, pal. And all these drives and chips those BTLs were stored are missing. Never liked Tong, but it wasn't because he was a bad guy. I just didn't like any of the elders. But if he was cooking chips at Delta 12, maybe he burned somebody he shouldn't have. Or maybe they flipped their lid and came after him. Or a relative did. She gave a serious look, tipping her head at the synth. Metahuman brain can't handle these kinds of output. It'll shut down after a few of these. Okay, so we have nothing. They entered where they exited. Now we have to talk to people. Rick is busily snacking on steamed buns. As you approach, he wipes off one of his hands and sticks it out towards you. Hey stranger, nice to meet you. Zippy toe tag at your service. How are you liking the garden? I'm Pao, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Listen, I know it's a little forward for me to say hello and whatnot, but I'm interested in giving you a hand if I can. This is my home, at least for the time being, and I'd like to stop these killings. We've never met before, but I know exactly who you are. You're my replacement. The elders had me autopsy what was left of Elder Gon and Elder Nakamura after they got ripped apart, but I didn't want to dig any deeper. So since I don't know you, and I can smell the Shadowrunner a mile away, you've got to be the outsider they've asked to stop the killings, right? That is right. So you have good eyes. A lot of good eyes, actually, if you're in the market for replacements. Only slightly used, and only come from certified donors, I swear. A hearty belly laughter erupts from the orc, and he slaps one of his thighs in elation. Man, I kill myself. You're pretty funny. With jokes like that, are you kidding me? I'm one of the only trained surgeons around here. I keep the other Wampoans healthy. I gotta practice down the road. Lion Chen's a pretty good cyber doc, but he's basically an implant specialist, that's all. I didn't appear. I did my residency back at the UCAS. Could have become a real MD too, if things hadn't gone south for unrelated reasons. I've slid deck a little, but I'm better at slicing skin than I see. Wampoan Garden seemed a good fit to me. it's fairly peaceful here. For the most part, other than these killings, we don't have much by the way of problems. We do information security for the triads that makes us fairly impervious to anyone who wants to start trouble. Anyone who starts something, we hit them with the Matrix while our triad friends hit them in the meat space. For small-time gangs, gangs have tried pushing in here before, and they backed off when they figure out they weren't just picking a fight with Tang and his guys, but with both the Red Dragon and Yellow Lotus. They've got the message real quick and have left with what was left of them anyways. You must have a lot of customers. That's the chip's truth. I have to charge to cover my costs and eat, but it's a near free service. There's always a waiting line, but it's good, honest work. I like helping my neighbors out in the community. We look out for each other. Somebody messes with one of us, they mess with all of us. That's the kind of community is rare as gold these days. Not many places have that ethos like us. Not the corpse, for sure. Lived a lot of places, done my fair share of shadowrunning, but this place is special. It's been a long time since it felt like this way was a real home. Felt like anywhere was a real home. He looks past you towards the garden streets. His expression goes wistful. You remember something long ago. I'm sure I'll move again, but not for a while. I'm done with this. I'm not done with the city or these people. Sure thing. What do you want to know about the garden? What are your thoughts on the murders? Pretty gruesome. Gon died from a broken neck. Looked like somebody had wrenched it around, and his arms and legs were cut off. Some skin flayed away too. Nakamura had his throat ripped out by something with pretty sharp teeth. At first I thought it was a devil rat, but the jaw marks were all for something with a humanoid jaw. I didn't look at Yatunde. From what I saw at distance, it was the same story. Didn't seem much of a point since I'd already seen it twice. As for Tong, from what the porter told me, it was Gon and Nakamura all over again. You take a look? Yeah, it's the same as described the others. Darn, I like Tong. The BTL business is unsavory, but the man had to eat, and his regular sims were great. Generally all around nice guy. Friendly with everyone. Not everyone and never had anyone mad at him. There's no justice, I'll tell you. Tell me about the elders? Well, they're an eclectic bunch, that's for sure. Where to start? Angie's the spiritual leader. She's the voice of Wampoans, I guess. A lot of her close friends are really more followers since she's something of a priest. Maybe it's a cultural thing for people who grew up here, but it never called to me. She makes a fine, good pot of tea. Ips the muscle, and has an encyclopedic knowledge of cyber and BioWare. Definitely a good guy to have watching your back. Not too friendly, but you know how it is. You get a lot of cyber, people start wondering if you'll tear their arms off. He's got moves straight out of Blood Carnival 3, The Reckoning, terrible movie, but great fight choreography. What about Tang? I don't know much about him, but I think he's got some kind of fetish for automation. Found him cooing over some trids of automated delivery drones in the warehouse once. He works with drones, has a shop called the Blessed Auto Fab. He's raving about efficiency of the movement patterns or something. You already know about Tong, Rand, Sims, BTL, Skull Chips. Gon used to be the city's planner before he had a nervous breakdown and got involved in statistical analysis. Nakamura came from Fukuoka and was interested in entertainment trids mostly. Spent a lot of time analyzing subliminals and ads. Then there was Magpie. She was chief decker, hot as hell against IC, built her own hardware. Salty old woman though. Never met anyone who was quite as shrill or nasty when she was mad. She was mad most of the time. Wait, no one mentioned Magpie to me. When did she die? She didn't. Maybe a month ago, she just up and disappeared. Went to her shop one day and she wasn't open. Nobody's seen her since. Kind of a pain, too. She owed me some new analyzed software she picked up. I've never heard of Magpie either. She must have been one of the newer poems. If she was a decker, she would have replaced Elder Gao. No surprise there. Gao was older than Quinn. Oh, gosh. Shihan Gidiz? I don't know. Terracotta Warriors. When I was learning decking from him, he could barely get out of bed. Still fast in the Matrix, though. How can you be a new and an elder? It's a stupid name. It doesn't actually have much to do with the time spent in the community. It has something to do with, sure, but most about how skilled you are, how good your connections are, and how much you can help make everybody else. How much you can help everybody else. Should have called them experts or something. Bingo, that's exactly it. She was only here for about three years, but she knew a lot of people all over the place. Matrix and Shanghai and Beijing, all kinds of places. Plus, her skill meant she was a shoo-in when Gao died. Why would she disappear? No idea. One day she was here, the next poof. At first I thought she was on vacation. She just had mentioned wanting to go see the Kingdom of Hawaii someday, but it didn't feel right. She would have at least told me she was leaving. It seems mighty suspicious to me. No one else seems to care what happened to her, probably because she pissed them off all so bad. Is there a place I should start looking? Might want to check out her shop. It's all locked up, but the elders have a spare key. Couldn't hurt to look around. Even though Magpie was always butting heads with the other elders, they wouldn't have any reason not to let you in. What do you mean, butting heads? Magpie and the others never saw eye to eye. She was contrary for the sake of it. Most of the rest had a grand vision for what they wanted this neighborhood to become. Magpie just wanted to deck. She was only an elder because they needed someone with her matrix chops. The last big argument was between her, Ning, Ip, and Nakamura. It was over something relatively trivial. I think Nakamura wanted to expand the pirate trade business into the Matrix, and she was just absolutely refused. Why'd she refuse? She said something about not using up valuable bandwidth for trivial entertainment. Anyways, it went from there into this rant about how she wasn't going to let Tang expand his drone business any further because it would get too much megacorp attention. They accused her of her blocking them just because she could, which is probably true. Lots of screaming. What do you mean blocking them? Everybody needs her matrix skills for their business to run properly. There are other deckers, me, Say, or Mo Nyembe, but she had the infrastructure. If their project didn't interest her, she wouldn't even give them the time of day. She's a real hardhead about having her time wasted, but she figures if it's not interested in something, it has no value objectively. Kind of a major blind spot, if you ask me. Sounds like she was critical. Yes and no. She was, but she disappeared. Elder Ip's taken over running the Matrix infrastructure. He's not as good as she was, but his experience with drones makes him the best candidate. They wouldn't entrust something like this to anyone who was an elder. So there you go. See you later, Zippy. A lot of good information there. Let's go get the key, and then let's talk to other people. Anything we can do for you? Why didn't you tell me about Elder Magpie? Why would we have? Her departure from One Ponies isn't related to this investigation. It happened just before the killings began. I'm certain she's just off sulking somewhere. No doubt she'll come back waltzing next month, all full of attitude like life dared to go on without asking her permission. If she does, we'll welcome her back. Despite our problems with her behavior, her skills make her extremely valuable. I've taken over maintenance of the Matrix infrastructure in her absence, but I'm nowhere near her level. The best I can do is sure nothing breaks down until she returns. Can I have a key to look around her shop? Yes, but there's a lot of sensitive equipment in there, including our community service. We don't let anyone in who's not one of the Wampanian elders. Why would you need to look around? Listen, you wanted me to find a killer. If I'm doing that, I have to explore every possibility. Very well, take the key and look around. Just don't break anything or shut the servers off. Was there anything else? Nope. I'll be skedaddling on out of this business. We're gonna save real quick. Talk to these people. Get out of somewhere else. Welcome, ma'am. Welcome to Walk Atelier, home of the finest clothing in Wampirian Garden. I'm the owner, Master Tailor, Wing Quay Quack. Maybe a service. Show me what you have. I'm careless. Didn't expect that there would be a tailor here. Many people don't. There's a mistaken impression that we Wampirians are only interested in technology in the Matrix. Even technologists need clothing, don't they? And many of us gravitate towards lines of work where added protection is required. I myself am a material scientist, and as well as a keen follower of fashion trends. What kind? Fiber related, of course. Primarily armid fibers, graphene composites, and dilettantes. It affords me a certain unique perspective with designing clothing that is not only beautiful but defensive as well. I specialize in high fashion body armor similar to the kind crafted by SecureTech or Vashon Island, and with much more personal touch. Well, we've already looked at it, we don't want it. This woman sports brilliantly hued hair that shifts colors, scintillating with every passing moment. She is powerfully built, a natural athlete, of someone who works out a great deal. Notably, a large shotgun rests on the arcade cabinet next to her. She affords you a short glance as you approach. When she speaks, you note a peculiarly lyrical accent to her voice. Something can help you with, my friend? You're thrown off my game, and I'm trying to beat my best score. Tank Europa? The woman's mouth twists into a worried grin. I mean either. Managed to find this one near by accident. I heard the music and thought, hold on there, Rainbow. You know that tune. After a few moments, Rainbow's game is suddenly over, her tank obliterated by a barrage of air-to-ground missiles. She hisses her breath through clenched teeth. Man, a right robbery, that was. Right then, she shakes her head and turns to face you. You don't seem like a Wampoan. They're all might touched. Yeah, maybe you are too, but you don't advertise it like they do. What's your story? I'm looking for the murderers. Ah, that's some nasty work. Bodies hacked up, chunks bitten out of them. Make sure you're loaded for something big and ugly, that's for certain. Where are you from? Born and raised in Dublin, down on the banks of the Liffey. You know how you pronounce that? Spent most of my early life there, working security on sacred spaces. You know, historical sites and undeveloped land. The Green Movement was big in those days. It was a bit like being a park ranger, and sure didn't it beat some dead-end desk job. Spent a lot of time around County Dublin and Wicklow. I always loved animals, and I found out being a ranger put me close to them. It was a good time, yeah? Making sure the budding new species like the bogies and the centaurs didn't upset the ecology of the Wicklow National Park. Also kept the nastier bits like the each usage from running amok across populated areas. Is that a demon horse? Aye, that's right. They're cannibal horses, basically nasty buggers that drag people into bogs and drown you. Sometimes people call them kelpies on the account of the water plants they pop out of. Anyways, as I was saying, problem was I started to develop these wee knacks. Just a small thing. I keep magic from working when I'm around. Spells don't go, spirits fall apart, and the paracritters get real feisty. To make things worse, this was around the time Liam O'Connor threw his coup and formed Tir na Nog. With all his fancy talk about elves and ancient magic, 'twas a bit scandalous to have a woman guarding ancient sites that wasn't just mundane, but also killed magic around her, so I got fired. You're older than that? Bang on, I don't look like a day over 25, do I? She flexes one arm, grinning widely. I am Irish, and none of them noggins. Pack of punters, the lot of them. Always going on about their ancestral lands and the glory of the past and all that stuff. I saw them kick dozens of old Irish families off their land just because their ears weren't properly pointed enough, or they didn't meet some stupid arbitrary criteria of old nobility. It's the kind of thing that brought back the IRA, just like the bad days of Troubles. The skivers in the new tier didn't pay for the land they took. They just had a pack of bullies with guns. I've always been sympathetic to the little guy in a fight. They offered to pay for my help, so I said yes, simple as that. You became a terrorist? Don't be so dramatic. They fixed me up with a cyber stitcher and gave me a lot of kit I've got in me now, in exchange for going overseas to work for them. Smuggling, running guns, making contacts in Europe, some kind of stuff all you revolutionary groups do. Seeing how me own fam got kicked out of their house, I was glad to do it. Still do work for them these days, but there's a lot less of it. Lady Dag cracked down on dissidents, but good. What are you here? Why are you here? Me, I'm a bit of a game hunter these days. I get into strange places, look for some kind of paracritter I haven't seen before, and then I put a bullet in it. Only the nasty ones, though. No point in hunting Talus cat or such. Only things like gargoyles, bar guests, and whatnot. All the work I did with them in my youth does a good job keeping me alive. I was out in Jakarta last year hunting one of them Indonesian vampires. You heard of them? Call him Layak, or... oh my gosh. Penanggalans? I don't know, depending on who you ask. Their heads and guts come out of their body cavity, and they fly around like a giant messy pile of pasta. It took me a solid 2 months to track her down, but I did. Once the job was done, I asked myself, okay, Rainbow, where's the best place in East Asia to find some action? So Hong Kong it was. All the key what's-its have here mean a bigger concentration of odd critters than you usually find in the city. Been spending a lot of time down in the storm drains these days. I heard rumors of a rat king down there, where a mess of devil rats get all tied together into some kind of big, awful rat beast. Haven't tracked it down yet, but I figure it's only a matter of time. See you later, Rainbow. So it could be the bog rat or whatever. The other shop barely looks from his PDA while greeting you. His tone is of immense boredom. Welcome to Ming Vong Matrix Materials, aka MVMM. What can I get you? Okay, so he does this stuff. Well, we don't care. So we have this person to talk to. I'm gonna see if there's anyone over here to talk to. Is that person there? There's that shop there. There's that person there. So we're gonna go there and wrap back around. At the same time, I'm getting pretty exhausted. There's been a lot of extra reading today. So I think I might call it here-ish. Actually, I think I'm gonna do that. I am feeling a bit exhausted. My throat is pretty sore and raw right now. So we've done a lot of reading. We have learned a bit of the stuff about the city. We've learned a little bit about here as we're looking for the murderer. So we're going to continue looking for the murderer tomorrow. I do know tomorrow is Saturday. With Space going to be on vacation, I have my Saturday free, so I know that I'm going to be able to stream. So I'll probably stream mid-afternoon, hopefully maybe a little bit more towards evening. But thank you so much for joining me today, and hope to see you guys tomorrow for more Shadowrun.